guys get any new information on the shooter yet, sir?
You gotta act with me, Tariq. Tariq St. Patrick, son of James St. Patrick, one of New York City's biggest pieces of no code, no loyalty, and you smell just like him.
While Ghost's supposed death had countless plot holes that left us speculating whether Ghost pulled off his biggest chess move of them all, which led to a number of theories that I have given on certain characters that possibly helped Ghost pull everything off. But out of everyone that I have named in the past, there is one specific character that I believe 100% is aware of Ghost being alive, and could be the one and only person that I believe may truly know Ghost's whereabouts, and has been updating him ever since the ending in Season 6 of Power. Just in case you're wondering, no, I'm not talking about Tommy, Tasha, Ramona, or Tate. And out of everyone, this specific character is the one and only person who we have seen some form of evidence that backs this theory up. Stay tuned, because later in the video I will reveal and go into detail as to who this exactly could be. Throughout Power Book 2, there have been characters that have come and go like Mecca and Noma, but it was always easy to figure out their motives with Tariq, which ultimately led to disappointing endings for their characters. But in Season 4, when Detective Don Carter made his debut, there were a lot of questions that went unanswered as the season ended.
Wait, and at the Rico case that blew up in everyone's face last month?
That's why he was on campus talking to Tariq St. Patrick. Guess they were together when the shooter came up on him. Yeah, it's a little too tidy when 2 and 2 adds up to 4 like that. You want us to bring in the kid or poke around the school?
I got this. Just make sure all the teams crossing their T's.
Aaron, you got it, boss?
From the moment Detective Carter appeared in Power Book 2 Ghost, his obsession with Tariq always felt somewhat off. It seemed too intense and too personal. Now sure, we know his wife was killed as an innocent bystander due to gun violence, and we know Carter made it his mission to clean up the streets, but whenever he's face to face with Tariq, there's a different kind of energy, a certain look in his eyes like he's holding something back. It's like he has a personal vendetta, one that's never been fully explained. But what if that's because the truth hasn't been revealed yet? What if there was a connection that tied Ghost and Carter together that hasn't been revealed? In Carter's first interaction with Tariq, he made it known that he was aware of who James St. Patrick was, but he didn't really give too much info on the extent of information that he knew other than Ghost not being loyal, and Ghost being a bad person. But Detective Carter clearly knows a lot more than he led on to believe. And if you were watching closely, it almost felt intentional, like the writers are saving something big with his character. As we all know by now, Detective Carter liked to search the database and find info on criminals that he could use to his advantage. Picture this scenario. What if Detective Carter did his own research on Ghost in the past, well before he even came across Tariq? What if Detective Carter decided to do a background check on Ghost, researching his criminal records and his family history? And suddenly Carter came across a younger version of Ghost's picture in the database, which led to Carter recognizing Ghost, but yet still unsure why he looks familiar. Until Carter decides to look at an old photo that his mother had from back in the day with a child that looks very similar to Ghost. This could have caused Carter to look even deeper into Ghost's family history, where he discovered that Ghost had a younger brother that left with his mother at an early age. And this could have been the moment where Detective Carter realized that he himself was the actual brother. Detective Carter likely didn't remember what life was like with his father around, and only remembered the moments growing up with his mother. So this could explain why the last name St. Patrick didn't originally resonate with him. Detective Carter could be the long-lost brother that Ghost never met. After Carter could have realized that Ghost was his brother, he could have decided to look into his death and was never convinced that Ghost died like it was stated in the records. As a homicide detective, Carter knows the difference between a clean kill and a staged death, and he could have reviewed the autopsy reports and saw that there were too many inconsistencies. Like no surveillance footage of Ghost being shot or anyone coming or leaving the club, and the interrogation statements that conflict each other. What if Detective Carter reanalyzed the timeline around Ghost's death and determined that Ghost orchestrated the entire event to escape the game? What if Carter never decided to go public and reveal his findings due to being torn between his duty as a detective and Ghost, who he learned was his actual brother? If Ghost really turns out to be Carter's brother, think about it. He's not gonna risk exposing him to the streets, the feds, or even Tariq until he fully understands why Ghost disappeared in the first place. Revealing that Ghost is alive could make him a target, and I believe that Carter was focused on Tariq because he knows that Ghost is likely somewhere watching Tariq at a distance. Maybe Carter knows that every move he makes against Tariq could bring him one step closer to the truth about why Ghost decided to fake his death. This is why I think that the writers decided to keep Carter around at the end of Book 2 instead of having Tariq kill him. Because there's more story to tell on Carter's true intentions, which could likely be that he's related to Ghost. And this could be revealed in Power Legacy. Another connection that no one seemed to question was Pa's and Carter's obvious past with each other. In Season 4 of Power Book 2 Ghost, we witnessed a quiet yet powerful moment when Detective Don Carter and Paz crossed paths at the cathedral.
They're gonna close the case, but I know they're wrong. He was investigating Tariq St. Patrick and other dealers.
Once again, the look in Carter's eyes the moment he hears the name Tariq St. Patrick instantly grabbed his attention, just like earlier when the detectives brought him up. But what if that meeting wasn't just a coincidence? What if that moment was a callback to a secret alliance we never knew existed? Let's rewind. Back in Power Season 6 before Ghost was shot, we all know that Paz was extremely frustrated when she found out that the feds were basically letting Ghost go free without consequences, and we saw Paz decide to take actions into her own hands. But what if Paz was so frustrated with the police and desperate for answers that she started to reach out to someone outside of the original investigation? Someone with no ties to Sax or Blanca. Someone with a reputation for digging deep and not playing into politics. What if she reached out to Detective Don Carter? Paz could have known Detective Carter from back in the day during Angie's early years within the NYPD. With Carter still grieving the loss of his wife and finding no peace in the justice system, what if he decided to investigate into Ghost for Paz? Not just out of curiosity, but maybe because deep down, he sensed something personal in the case. It's possible that even after Ghost was pronounced dead, that Carter could have still decided to look into Ghost's past history. And this could also be a different scenario of how Carter comes across Ghost being his brother after investigating into Ghost for Paz. Power Legacy could finally explore Carter's true identity, his past with Ghost, and maybe even the emotional collision course between Tariq and the uncle he never knew he had in Detective Carter, whenever he finds a way to finesse his way out of prison. Now when it comes to who exactly knows that Ghost is alive, and who has a direct line of communication with Ghost, it may not be who we all suspect. Think back to the final episode of Power, when everyone received their inheritance from Ghost. There was one specific moment that stood out like a sore thumb, and quite suspicious in my opinion. In Season 6 of Power, Ghost left Kate Egan a small inheritance in his will. But here's the thing, Kate didn't seem upset. She didn't seem confused, and she really wasn't even surprised. In fact, she seemed happy and calm. We even saw her jokingly tell Attorney Warren that her other son would probably think it was a hoax. Almost like she knew the money wasn't coming from a dead man, but from someone still very much alive. And let's be honest, a couple $1,000s that Ghost left her wasn't enough to set her up for life, but yet she's been financially stable this entire time after Ghost's death. I believe that Ghost set up a long-term, secret support system for Kate. Possibly anonymous wire transfers, or he gave her access to a private account through a fake identity. It's the kind of thing only Ghost would do, clean, untraceable, and personal. Now let's talk about one of the biggest clues that's hiding in plain sight. During episode 12 in Paz's perspective, Kate receives her inheritance from Ghost and acts like everything is completely fine. She's cracking jokes and showing no emotion at all. But in episode 13 during Tommy's perspective, Kate is suddenly sobbing, blaming Tommy for Ghost's death, and she seemed to be falling apart emotionally. It's a completely different version of Kate that we saw in the previous episode. This poses the question as to if Kate was really even devastated as she appeared. Or does she already know he's alive, and could she have simply been putting on an act for Tommy? Even Kate's demeanor during Power Book 2 Ghost when Tariq stopped by her house seemed a little off. I believe that it's possible that the one person Ghost could still be in contact with, if Tommy truly doesn't know Ghost is alive, would be Kate Egan. We don't know what exactly Ghost left for Kate with the inheritance money. He could have left Kate Egan a letter and contact info for her to reach out to him to keep him updated as to what's going on with Tommy, and for her to reach out to him if there was ever a life or death situation. We all know that Kate treated Ghost like her second son, due to her taking him in after the death of his father. So maybe Ghost felt like Kate was the only person who wasn't tied to the streets that he could truly trust besides Ramona. With that being said, you might ask, why hasn't Kate told Tommy? Well, it could be simply due to if Tommy finds out, it all burns down. Tommy would go looking for Ghost, and that would blow up Ghost's cover, get both of them killed, or even worse, bring the feds after them. If this does actually turn out to be the case, then I would expect for some type of reveal to happen in Force. Not necessarily Ghost returning, but some kind of information that we weren't aware of previously, surfacing in this final season of Force. They have to end this final season of Power Book Force with a bang, to build the anticipation up for Power Legacy, and what better way to do it than with a Ghost reveal? I'm curious to know what you think about the possibility of Carter being Ghost's brother, and Kate Egan possibly holding all of the cards to the truth about Ghost. Let me know down below in the comment section. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe for all things within the Power universe. See you all next time in the universe of Power.